Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is a recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 8, Reunion Episode Part 1. And as with all reunions, this one starts off with some softball questions to Melissa about her and Teresa. And yes, they are getting along better than ever and they love each other and they're sisters and blah, blah, blah. Come on, we're all here for the same thing, right? We want to see if Siggy is at least somewhat grounded in reality or if she's completely gone off to another planet. And to Siggy's credit, she is just waiting for Andy to say ready before she goes all Israeli on Margaret's ass. And Margaret is up to the task herself. Bring it on, she says. And then we don't get back to those two for like another 20 minutes. Side note, Melissa's phone starts ringing because she forgot to put it on airplane mode, although she says she did. And it's none other than Ramona Singer. So Andy grabs the phone and says, Ramona, and she said, who am I speaking with? And he goes, you're speaking with Andy Cohen. And she said, oh, Andy, why are you answering her phone? And Andy's like, we are in the middle of filming the reunion episode, so don't call. And she's like, well, why did you answer? Okay. So she gets off the phone, but that was kind of funny. Next, we talk about Teresa and everything, all the losses in her family, from her father-in-law to her mother, to her going away to prison, and then Joe going away to prison, and how hard all of that has been on her girls. I think this was in response to a viewer's question about whether she's going to start disciplining her girls more. They also talk to her about the anger she feels for Joe. She claims the marriage is strong and will be strong when he gets out. Although in her book, she did address the anger a little bit, I guess. That's it. I didn't read the book. Did any of you guys read the book? Let me know in the comments down below if you did. I'd be very curious to hear what you thought of it. They also asked her what she would do in the event that Joe got deported when he got out of prison. And she said, well, I mean, Italy is beautiful. And Andy's like, well, yeah, it is, but... And she said, well, you know what? If that's where life takes us, that's where life takes us. So she did kind of make it sound like they'd all stay together and she would go with him. We finally get to Margaret and Siggy. And honestly, there's nothing new here. We're rehashing the same old arguments. Soggy flicker, anti-Semite. I'm kind of tired of it all, really. Siggy tells Margaret, I think to use my medical condition is just terrible of you. And Margaret said, I'm not using your medical condition. I'm just saying that if you keep using the excuse of menopause or the hysterectomy as a reason for your behavior, that's victimizing to women. And Siggy's just like frustrated by that response or confused by it or something, I don't know, but clearly, it's not changing anything between the two of them. We briefly then have the Battle of the Foyers. Apparently, Siggy had posted something on Twitter or Instagram about that stuffed bear that's in Margaret's house. I guess Joe killed that bear and stuffed it and gave it to Margaret. That is not my thing at all. Just a little heads up for Mr. Informed. Don't get me a gift like that, ever. Actually, Mr. Informed knows better. And he would never go hunting. So there's that. So the gist of it is that Siggy says, oh, this is okay to have in your foyer, but not this lovely array of pictures that my husband bought for me. She's referring to that shrine of Siggy that's at her home in Boca Raton. That was so funny. And so Siggy. I mean, that's the Siggy I miss and love. The Siggy who just truly loves herself more than anybody ever could. I like that. I'm not mad at that Siggy. It's the Siggy who calls people anti-Semitic. That's the Siggy I have a problem with. Then Danielle gets introduced. And it's so funny. I forget that Danielle was not a housewife this year. So anyway, she shows up and she looks so good that even Delores has to tell her how good she looks. Her hair. She's got those long, ratty extensions out of there. Her new haircut is fresh and current and adorable. And the gown she's wearing with the train is stunning. Danielle has never looked better or younger. I hope this is a sign of change in Danielle. Classing up the joint a little bit. Andy makes Danielle and Teresa talk about their friendship and go back over all the reasons why they hated each other. I thought that was dangerous territory, but the ladies managed to get through it without starting up something new. That's impressive. All right, now this part I'm confused about. Andy then says to Danielle, so I read that you had sex in the bathroom at Gorga's restaurant. Now, I heard that the whole reason they didn't even show her proposal was because she had sex in the restaurant at Gorga's and told them she didn't want it to air, and they agreed to that, but then they weren't going to show anything else about her. But Andy's acting like he just read this himself, so I'm confused. And again, you can never really believe everything you read. Anyway, Danielle's response to that was that she asked permission first. I hope in part 2 they talk about her proposal and why that didn't get aired, because that's the part I'm really wondering about. It was in the title of the episode. When Danielle said she asked permission, Siggy goes, that's disgusting. And Danielle said, well, you do a lot of disgusting things too. And Siggy said, not that. And Margaret did not say one single thing. But then you hear Siggy say, shut up, Margaret, with those faces. She didn't even say anything, but apparently just the look on her face was enough to irritate Siggy. Next, we rehash Cakegate yet again, like we didn't rehash that enough throughout the entire season. Melissa does finally say to Siggy's face, you know, that was embarrassing for me. You shamed me in front of your friends, and I'm mad at myself for staying there, and that was wrong. Margaret says, with how sensitive you are, Siggy, if you had done that to her, you would have been really angry. And Siggy said, if you did that to me, yes. If Melissa did that to me, no. Margaret says, I don't believe that for 2 seconds. And Siggy said, well, you don't know me from a hole in the head. And Margaret said, I've got your number. Siggy, yeah, you've got my number, but it's in Afghanistan. What? And you better just get back to reality. I have no idea what that meant. Then, as an aside, Margaret says to Danielle, yeah, Real Housewives of Bellevue. I've got her number. So Siggy says to Melissa, if you were embarrassed, I'm sorry. And Margaret says, well, oh, that's a real apology. If you were embarrassed. Siggy says, here we go. Another example of Margaret inserting herself where she doesn't belong. And then Siggy looks at Margaret and goes, thirsty. Margaret says, pathetic. And then she says, Bellevue. Real Housewives of Bellevue. Okay, Margaret, I think we all heard you the first time. She apparently did not get the response for that joke that she wanted the first time. She had to keep going back to that same well. If you guys listen to the podcast, Watch What Crappens with Ronnie Karam and Ben Mandelker, you probably had the same thought in your head that I did. And by the way, if you guys don't listen to their podcast, you have to. They recap the Housewives. They do all the shows from Bravo, and they are so talented and so funny. It's called Watch What Crappens. They do all the voices, and they're so good at it. If you do have them in your head like I do, when she made that Bellevue comment, I was thinking, classic Marge, classic Marge. That's me. That's me. I'm Joan Rivers. I'm classic Marge. That's how they do Marge's voice. Oh my God. So when she had to bring that joke back again, in my head, I'm thinking, classic Marge. After this, go check it out. They're hilarious. We move on to how and why Siggy and Delores are friends with Kim D. Melissa cannot understand it. Most people cannot understand it. And they're trying to say that, well, been friends with her for years. Delores has known her for 20 years. And Siggy tells Melissa, I've known her 5 years before I met you. And Melissa's like, so what? Who cares? She's a scumbag. And she's right. It doesn't matter how long you know somebody. When they show their true colors, even if it's to other people, you gotta question why they are remaining friends with her. Because Kim D, she is low rent, let me tell you. Then Andy says, well, she's here. Come on out, Kim D. And so Kim D comes out. Somebody says Tales of the Crypt. I think it's Teresa. And it's true. She's not an unattractive woman either, but she looks weird or old or something. Anyway, the episode ends right there, so we didn't even get to hear any of what she's saying other than like the teaser for next week. So I will leave you guys here. It looks like we're going to have at least one more reunion to recap, so I will be back for that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And don't forget to comment down below. I love to hear from you guys. I will meet you back here next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time for the next recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.